welcome back to Healing Gals podcast, the podcast where we reconnect to who we were before the world got their hands on us. I'm your host, Molly Smith, and we're back this week with part 2 of the episode with Caoimhe Gibney, the somatic specialist physiotherapist that was on the podcast this week, talking all things intergenerational trauma. If you've listened to the podcast for any length of time, you'll know this is something that I feel very passionately about. In my own family line, there is a lot of trauma. There has been a lot of abuse in the family that I come from. And also, to no fault of anybody, traumas and difficulties and challenges that have been passed down through the generations. So this topic is such a important topic close to my heart because I have suffered consequences as a result of that. I've now become aware of those consequences and I don't want that for my daughter. And I know that there's so many listeners here who feel the exact same way. They don't want what happened to them to happen to their children. They want to break that cycle. They want the, what did they say? The shame ends with us, you know? So Caoimhe is back for part 2 of the episode this week and I will pass you over to that episode in a few minutes. However, I just had such a gorgeous bank holiday weekend and I decided something, made it happen, and I wanted to tell you about it in case it's something that you want to do in your life when you have time at home. I brought my daughter to London this summer for her 18th birthday. That was her present. We had 2 nights in London. We had the best time ever. We loved it. It was such a bonding trip. It was also something that really worked well and something that kind of changed the dynamic, in my opinion, was it was her birthday. People were after being so generous to her with cards and things like that. And for the trip, I said to her, listen, you have a little fund of money there now that you're lucky enough to have. And I'm going to ask you to just pay for your stuff when we're away. I had done a party. I obviously booked a trip, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that she had all this money, I was like, we could easily do this now and it wouldn't put me under such a huge financial strain if she just paid for her own little bits of food and stuff. So we decided that we would do that. Now, I don't know if when you're listening to this, you're thinking, oh my God, that's so mean, or you're thinking, oh my God, that's so appropriate. She's 18. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that for our financial situation helped and worked. And by doing that, I had this like change in dynamic with her. When we went away then, it was like we went away as pals, kind of. Now, I know she's not my pal. I don't ever want to be her friend, although I think as adults we will evolve into a mother-daughter friendship because I was only 18 when I had her. There's not that many years in the difference, like in the grand scheme of things and how much older some parents are than their kids. I'm not that much older than Brooke. So it was actually just a really changing that dynamic of us going out for meals together and being like, I'll get this one, you get that one. I think it really raised her up a bit. It really like made her feel like more of an equal, that we were, you know, away as pals having a fun time. It wasn't that she was away with her mom who's like telling her we're eating here and we're going there and I'll pay for all of this. And, you know, I don't know. I'm just saying I had the experience and it really changed things for our relationship. So I don't know if you're going to be having any trips with your daughter or whatever, but if that's appropriate, if she's at that age of 18 and they have money, it was really a changing little dynamic in our relationship and it made the holiday a lot more fun. Even when I'm saying it out loud, it sounds strange, but that's the facts of it. So I'm just leaving that with you. Anyway, that wasn't the thing I was wanting to tell you because not everyone's gone for trips to London with their kids. So I appreciate that. Because we went away and everything, we're not going to be having like a holiday this year, like a traditional, like, you know, going away holiday to Spain or whatever. And that's fine. You can't do it all. However, I said to Kev, I love our home. I'm very comfortable here. I think it's beautiful. I would love to have a holiday, but like be at home, but treat it as though we're having a holiday. I have 2 weeks coming up that I'm going to have off in the end of August, and I am planning to do that in that time space. But for this bank holiday weekend, I said to Kev, I want us to treat the house this weekend as though we're on holiday. And oh my God, we just had the best time. We spent very little because obviously we're at home. But we did decide we're not making dinners, and we went and got like the makings of baby Guinness, and we brought the speaker down to the kitchen, and we, you know, like we had such a party vibe in the house. And I plan to do that now for my time off, that off my 9 to 5 job that's coming up. I plan to be going out for days to the forest, bringing a picnic, coming home, ordering food, doing whatever, but like without the expense of going on a holiday, you know? And I've just had the most fun, and I love that I can create a holiday vibe in my own home. So if you can, like, we also didn't order food as well, because that can be quite expensive. We didn't order food every night. We ordered food one night on the weekend, and the rest of the time just went to Tesco and got stuff that you can just like bang in the oven or bang in the air fryer. Tasty chicken wings, pizzas, things like that. Just had a gorgeous little bank holiday weekend there, gals. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous. I felt like I was free of responsibilities or something. It was lovely. I did get some really good news today, though. I was contacted by the editor of Women's Way magazine to say that I am nominated for Mam of the Year. And that sounds like a joke. That sounds like a joke, but it's not. I've been nominated for Mam of the Year. Apparently, it's a really big deal, and there's loads of celebrities that have won it and stuff. And I'm nominated for Mam of the Year. Since Brooke has turned 18, I've started, it wasn't a conscious decision to start sharing stuff that like goes on. But since she's 18, it feels like, you know, I can talk more about things because I'm not, now not everything, but I am being a bit more, like I made a video about not going into her room when she's in there knocking all the time, giving her space, how important that is. So many teenage girls have messaged me saying my mum barges into my room and she doesn't knock, or she comes in the morning time and starts snooping around my stuff. Gals, mams, if you're listening, which I know you are, the gals need their space. We can't be barging into their rooms. It's really important that they get their space. So anyway, I think because I've been sharing stuff like that, it's after getting the attention of the editor of Women's Way, and now I'm nominated for Mum of the Year, I think it's called. So I don't know anything other than I'm nominated, and I'm just I'm just thrilled about it. Like, I was 18 having Brooke. I just thought I was the shittest mum in the world, and for a while, no, I was never the shittest mum in the world, but I wasn't the best either. I wasn't the Mum of the Year. Let's just say that. However, I do feel like I'm worthy of Mum of the Year now. I do feel like I'm a really good mum. I feel like I work really hard to break the generational patterns that are in my family that have caused me harm, caused my relatives harm, caused my mum harm, caused harm, like you know, if you listen to last week's episode, you know what I'm talking about. However, let me put you on to this week's episode. This is part 2. At the end of last week, you'll remember Caoimhe was telling us about the epigenetics of intergenerational trauma. She says there's 2 parts to intergenerational trauma. Epigenetics, as in the genetics, and she spoke about the example of the mice being shocked with the smell of lavender, and then she used lavender, but the study wasn't lavender. It could have been something else, and we spoke about that and how that is carried through our DNA, the trauma of that, and that the trauma of the famine and the Magdalene laundries and all of those things still live within us as Irish women. And I certainly feel like that. I felt like when I was watching those documentaries that I mentioned in the last episode, I felt like when I was crying and processing that trauma for those women in our lineage that didn't get to cry, or that no one listened to when they were crying, you know? And at any opportunity when I feel moved like that and I feel emotional like that, I now feel like it's an honour for me to cry and release that and process that and talk about it on a podcast and share the word of how much better we deserve. I feel that in my bones. The second part of epigenetics, Caoimhe says, is the stories that are passed down. And I won't say any more. She's just going to take it off from here. So, gals, thanks again for listening to another episode of Healing Gals podcast. Enjoy the episode, and I'll talk to you at the end. Oh, and remember, you're good enough exactly as you are, Angel.
But the other side of intergenerational trauma I think is really interesting is stories that are passed down. So yes, we have the epigenetics and the DNA, and then you have the stories. So if you think about, it's like societal conditioning, like children should be seen and not heard. You know, there's a really good trend going around that when you watch it, you're like, where they say phrases that we would have heard as kids and ask the child now to respond.
Yeah.
Every time I watch one
Children
of those, I cry.
should be seen and
then they go, and loved.
And loved. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Or I'll give you something too. And they go,
Eat.
Hug. And you're like, oh my God. But
That's so special.
It's so special.
Yeah.
But it's a good example of our parents would have heard that. Their parents would have heard that. Their parents would have heard that. And for the first time, a generation's turning around going, love.
Yeah.
Like that's intergenerational trauma in a societal way where we pass on stories. And look, like there's still work. We've brought it up on this podcast already, but women around, oh, like she's too big for her boots. Who does she think she is? I really implore women to call out other women in this. And I call out men all the time. I've no problem calling out men with their bad behavior. But I also think as women, we could raise our standards a little bit for each other. That if you do see someone doing something and women are, and we talked about being called a bitch earlier for a different reason, but let's say bitching or gossiping, I'm like, if that feels negative, if that feels like it has any connotations around she's a bit too big for her boots or judgment, you're passing on this story of this is what we collectively think of someone who breaks the mold or someone who goes outside of their box. How about you just change that narrative? Because you will do more for yourself. It reflects to me that you're judging yourself. It's probably not your fault. It's something that has been given to you.
Yes.
And I think about the conversation that, I'm like, my mom's a very open person. She comes to my stuff, but she would have been judgmental towards herself, definitely. And I'll even think about like, were women made to feel like we should be smaller? Like I think about the Weight Watchers era and everything. How much of that did I absorb as a child?
Yeah.
But that didn't just come from my mum. Like that came from her mum and her mum before her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And a whole corporation of people that are profiting from us hating ourselves
100%.
and each other. And
100%.
judging ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
Last year I was in the car with, we'll say, a young person in my life, say a teenager that is close to me in my life, and the teenager, we were in traffic and a woman, woman in her 40s, cycled past us and was going fucking goodzo on the bike. Was like really, she was obviously in a rush or she was getting somewhere or whatever, and the teenager with me mocked her and was like, look at the state of her, like look at the way she's whatever. And I said, I cannot believe you said that about that woman. And they said, I'm only slagging or whatever. And I said, do you know what that tells me? That tells me how judgmental you are of yourself.
Yeah.
That when you saw that woman giving it goodzo on the bike, I don't even know where giving it goodzo's after coming from.
I love it.
Like pedaling really hard and whatever, you thought that's embarrassing, that's uncool, or do you think she's uncool? Like, what is the criticism where you looked at that woman trying her best, getting to an appointment, probably maybe going to collect her kids, maybe she's after getting really bad news just to get somewhere in a hurry, and you thought the state of her, where does that come from? And how are you judging yourself? Now, initially the young person was like, it's not that deep, and then I was like, no, it's very much that deep. It's very, very much that deep. If we are going to be women that support each other, well, I tell you what I saw when I saw that woman. I saw her and I thought, go on, gal.
Yeah.
Go on, you good thing, you know. And that it has opened a conversation. That young person, when they come to my house, still says to me, do you remember that time you said that about that woman? I thought you were so strict about that. And I say, I am so strict about women. I do not accept criticism of us anymore. We have been criticized long enough. Whenever we see another woman doing anything, putting herself out there, cycling her bike, mental, whatever, we say, go on, gal, you get it, gal. Hope you're safe, gal. Hope you're okay, gal, you know. And that if we do that with the young people in our lives, then maybe they won't come up as a generation of judgmental people towards women in particular.
Yeah,
you know.
100%.
Yeah.
And like it's interesting even looking at that in a young person. Okay, so like you had a really impactful conversation there where clearly you changed something in the way that
100%.
They think.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like it just feels like a small conversation to you, but it's a big conversation to the person receiving it. And I'll always say that with like calling people in rather than like calling them out. Like we call people in. I have to call facilitators in all the time. Like I made a post the other day on like 5 red flags in healing spaces. And
Saw that.
as
Loved
I
it.
was posting it, I was like, oh, because I know it's going to make some people feel a certain type of way.
Sure.
I have to be okay with that discomfort, and I have to be okay with, well, if I call you in, you can call me in too. Like, I'm going to be called out on some things, and I'm okay with that because I'm human and I'm not always going to get it right. But the willingness to be in the conversation and to have the conversation is what makes things change. And there's a group. So when I started this first, I don't know if it was my mom or someone else saying to me that like older women would be the hardest group of people to facilitate or to work with, that they would judge me the most.
Oh.
So I had this preconceived idea from whoever had that conversation with me that like older women were going to basically like laugh at it or say, you know, like, what would you need that for? Now, I have definitely had those conversations. Like somebody that I love said at Christmas time, sure, why would you go and lie on a mat and cry? Like everybody has trauma, get over yourself.
Oh.
And I sat there, and rather than getting defensive or needing to have the answer, I just sat and I was like, oh, really? Why do you think that? And she explained why. And I was just like, okay. And then she turned around at the end as we were walking out the room and said, I'm probably the person that needs it the most, am I? So people will get there when they're ready without me over explaining or needing to do anything.
Yeah.
But
or convincing them of anything.
You come when you're ready.
Yes.
But that group of older women, so I don't want to call my mum old, she'd be disgusted, but like
it's a privilege, queen.
Yeah, it is. But like that generation of women who were excellent mother, gave everything to mothering, gave everything to, they also, I feel, got the short end of the stick of needing to be everything to everyone, be the perfect mother, like be the perfect housewife, have everything together, but also now go and have a job.
Yeah.
So that the empowered version of a woman became a man, plus you still had to be the woman. So I think they actually ended up having so much more on their plate than before. And I thought would resent me. So I thought would look at me and say, what would you know? Like you're only
that
young.
cohort?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought they would maybe look at me and say, like, what would you know? You haven't gone through what we've gone through. And I totally get that. And I can see that I have not lived the life that you live. The most supportive, the most encouraging, and the group of women who turn around and say, who bawl their eyes out on a mat, who get angry on a mat crying, who I can see in a breathwork session have never been held.
Oh.
They break my heart the most because I'm looking at them being like, God, nobody did this for you. And they turn around at the end and they go, I'm so happy that you're doing this for women younger than me, because I don't know what my life would have looked like if someone had done this for me.
Yeah.
Or if I had the opportunity. And I look at my mom and I think, what would have been different if you had the opportunity to say what you need?
Exactly.
To express where things are hard or challenging, or where you need help, where you need support. It's huge.
Yeah, it's so big, gal. It's so big. It makes me so sad. Like, it makes me so sad for that generation, you know? Like, I just feel like they just had such a hard time. Like, I just feel like we're just done having such a hard time, you know? Like, I feel like when I look at them and they've just, like, given everything to everyone forever, and then at the end of it, they still get left by the husband, or they still, do you know what I mean? Like, I just want them to, like, whatever age they're after coming into this awareness, like, I'm thrilled that I'm in my 30s and I'm in this awareness, but whatever age women can get into the awareness that there is a life for them that they'll just, like, love, you know? I need to calm down.
Oh, girl.
Oh, precious. You know, you're literally describing the thing that I feel so strongly about, like when they eventually get to that place where they're like, hang on, like there's a better life for me, and I deserve it. You're just like, I was there the whole time, Michaela, you just didn't know, and you deserve it, you know.
I know.
We're back. Yeah, I just think the gals just deserve so much more, you know, and I just think especially women that are older and they've gone through this life of like having repeated children that maybe they didn't want or plan or whatever, but the society told them the only way to be a good woman is to be a good mother. So they poured and poured and poured, and then they get to the end of their life and they've autoimmune diseases from suppression, and you know, they just, like, I love to hear of what you're describing, you know, like women getting to places where there's gorgeous people like you facilitating space for them to reconnect to like who they would have been if, I say at the start of every podcast, I say, welcome to Healing Gals podcast, the podcast where we reconnect to who we were before the world got their hands on us, you know, and that's what I want, you know. The gals.
And it is so like simple.
Yeah.
It's actually not complicated to, like, healing doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
It's really, really simple. Like, when I think about why I love breath work, it's just you and your body and your breath. I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is giving you permission to go where you need to go, to do what you need to do, to receive what you need to receive. And what you come out feeling from, like, that sense of safety and connection and just somebody holding you.
Yeah.
Like, at the Christmas party this year, so like once a year we'll hold a big charity Christmas party. So the last few years we've been doing it for Women's Aid.
Thank you for your work, Gal. That's amazing.
But it's lovely, and it's really nice, I suppose, because I'm living in Australia half the time now. I am moving home at Christmas for good, but for the last 4 years, going on 5 years, I will have been half and half.
Wow,
and
that's such a cool life.
I know, it was lovely. Now, the only person who struggles is my boyfriend, but I love it.
Is he based here, or does he go with you?
No, he's in Sydney.
Oh, he's in Sydney.
We'll do like 6 months of distance a year.
Fuck, that's hard.
Yeah, I know, but he's brilliant.
Okay,
he's brilliant. But the Christmas party this year, I had this moment. So before, there was about 15 tickets left, and I was just at my wit's end, like at the end of the marketing. I just was like, I don't have the energy, but I need to sell these 15 tickets because I've paid, the hotels are expensive,
right,
and you're trying to make as much profit for a charity as possible. So anyway, I was trying to sell these tickets, and I put it into the facilitator group chat. So bear in mind, half of the facilitators are in Australia. If anybody wants to sponsor a ticket, the tickets were €100. If anybody wants to sponsor a ticket, I'll raffle off those tickets for people who maybe couldn't afford to be there but would love to be there. And 15 of the guys bought tickets for people in Ireland, and I raffled them off, like gave two like sets of tickets to certain people. And when I looked around the room on the day, like lots of people had brought their mums. And there were 15 people in that room who otherwise, and when we talked about money earlier and invest in yourself, who wanted to be there but felt like they couldn't spend €100 on themselves before Christmas because it's a busy time and it's an expensive time of year. But this was a day that was totally about you. So it's like basically a Christmas party. It's called the Wellness Christmas Party. So for people who are giving all year to receive before a time of giving.
Wow.
And I looked around the room and there was a lot of mums and daughters, and I run mum and daughter, like intergenerational retreats. That was my thing when I came home first. I ran these intergenerational retreats where daughters would bring their mums. Yeah. The most special experiences, both in that room at Christmas and in those retreats. The thing I can see is this daughter has realized that there is a different way, and for her to want to give that, I'm gonna get upset now, but for her to want to give that to her mum, and for her to see that her mum maybe didn't get the experience or didn't get the opportunity, and then to bring them either on a retreat, like lots of mums came on the retreat, it was in Powerscourt, and I go around at the beginning and saying like, why are you here? Like, what's your intention? And they'd be like, oh, well, you know, my daughter's just brought me and I'm excited to have a spa weekend. And I'd be like, we're about to do some like trauma healing, and like they have no idea what they're getting in for. But when you go around on the final day and ask them, they're the most expressive, like they're the most grateful for the space. And when you go back, I can still remember one of the intergenerational retreats, at the end one of the moms just saying, I never knew I could be held like that, like I never knew I could have this, and I just want to thank my daughter for like being brave and showing me that like something different exists. And I was just sitting there like, and like my mom was at them, and to see my mom, who would have been, you know, supportive of this but wanted me to be safe. Like when your parents put you off things, or, you know, they go, what are you doing with that? I know they only want you to be safe, but for my mom to see other women her age get something from it and herself get something from it. Like I watched my mum process grief that I don't think she's ever really been held in. Now I couldn't touch her because if I put my hand on her I would have just broken down. But at the Christmas party I actually took one look at my mum. I could see her holding, so I had this moment, she'll kill me if she ever listens to this, but I had this moment in the middle. So we come up in breathwork to this peak and she's holding, like gripping so hard, like I can see there's loads of emotion, loads of energy right at the top, and we're nearly at this peak song, and I said something like, if you are always the person holding everybody, who holds you? Like who's here for you? And she just burst, like she broke. And then I burst. I mean, you're not meant to stand there crying in the middle of a breathwork session, but I started bawling, crying, because I looked around the room at all of these women who nobody's holding. You're doing it all. You're everything to everybody, but at the end of the day, who's doing it for you? And I had to hand the mic over, and one of the facilitators, for me it was a really lovely moment of like, I'm also being held. Because one of the other facilitators came over, just wrapped her arms around me, and she goes, you know, we've got this too, like you're held too. So I just sat there and had a few seconds to cry, and then pulled it back together. ended it, and at the end of that breathwork session, I'll never plan my meditations. I just like let whatever comes into my brain come. And we sat with our 80-year-old self. Like we sat with the version of us that is ready to pass on and asked them what was important. And for me, when I think about that, I'm like, it's not the fucking job. Nobody cares how hard you worked or how you hit your KPIs. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It would be, for most of us, spending that extra day with the family member that you loved, or doing the thing that brought you so much joy, or seeing the world the way you haven't seen it before. And yeah, I just like, God, we're all just living on autopilot.
Sorry to interrupt the episode, gals, but I have to show you my mat. This mat depicts the cliffs of Moher. It is stunning. I wanted to show you this mat in person because I just don't think the photos do it justice. In my opinion, one of the best things about these mats is that number one, it's machine washable. I bring my mat to the forest all the time and she is in the machine and she is like brand new. Can you see the shine on that mat? That is because this mat has a suede finish on the top. It is thick, bouncy, tea colour rubber, so it's non-toxic. But look at the finish. When your bare skin is on this mat, it does not stick to the mat. The imagery is absolutely stunning. Once you put it down, it's down. It's not moving. Listen to my podcast for a while. You will know I am a champion of women and women in business. Dara Mats is an Irish-owned, woman-run business. These mats are designed as a one-time purchase, so you will not be replacing this mat every few years. This is a lifetime purchase. This is an investment in your practice. It is an investment in your day, and you will not regret buying yourself one of these mats. They're also a fabulous gift for someone if you have something special coming up. So if you want to invest in yourself and buy yourself one of these gorgeous mats, go to daramats.com and Healing Gals listeners get a discount. Enter Healing12 at the checkout to get 12% off your very own Dara mat. Now, back to the episode. Yeah.
And maybe not letting life move through us the way it wants to.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mums just get me. The intergenerational piece of women really gets me. And I often think like, you know, you have a beautiful daughter who you can see all this work that you've done for yourself.
Yeah.
Literally pour into her.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that day. And I might not have a daughter, but if I do, I even just sit in meditation and like think of her like she's the future ancestor. Like my great granddaughter is the future ancestor, and something I do now affects those people.
Exactly.
Well, that's mad.
It's magic, gal. It's alchemy.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
It's literal alchemy. You know, like when you're talking about the mouse with the shock and the lavender. 2 generations down, lavender. There's a mouse expecting a shock. Like that's not like. How do you even describe the process of that? You know, like that's magic. You know, like it's the way that we can impact our future generations is magical because I will never meet them.
No.
Do you know? Like I will never meet maybe Brooke's daughter. I'm young enough now.
I hope you will.
No, I mean Brooke's daughter's daughter. Yeah.
Yes.
I still might, because I actually met a great granny the other day that her great grandchild had been born. So I was like, that could be me.
You, absolutely.
But no, Brooke's not going to be having kids early, so we're breaking that generational curse. So you spoke when you were talking, gal. There's a million thoughts, right? A million thoughts, but I'm like, I have to hold them in and allow you to speak because what you're saying is so valuable. But there's so many things I want to be like. But can I add to that? Can I ask you a question on that? Have you heard of Iyanla Vanzant before?
No.
Iyanla Vanzant is she's a black woman in America. She was like on the Oprah show years ago, and then she went off, had her own show, has her own empire. She's Mason, like she's literally a Mason. But I learned the foundation for generational trauma and like intergenerational trauma and healing and stuff I learned from her. So she has this show called Fix My Life. It's not on anymore, but there is like 10 or 15 seasons of it.
Wow.
And a common theme throughout the whole thing was when something happened in the family line, it happens in the young people, even if the young people don't know about it. Don't know about the initial happening. It's automatic. So trauma is automatic, and she calls it a pathology. So she speaks of, so usually there'll be a breakdown between a mother and a daughter, or a granny and a daughter, or granddaughter, or whatever. And by the time she does the individual work with them and then brings them together, it'll be like now, and this was probably one of my main motivations about healing or about facilitating women's circles or around just making sure that we know these things is she would bring the women in most of the time. Now, she did do a lot of work with men as well, but for the purposes of Healing Gals podcast and the work that we both do with women, do you have men in your stuff as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
perfect.
mostly women.
Yeah,
mostly
sure.
Women, yeah.
So she then brings them together and says, do you know your mother's story as a woman? And 99% of the time the child will say, no. Like, I know her as my mom. I know, like, what I know her since I know her, kind of thing. And the mother will then share her story as a woman, the things that she went through, the experiences that she had, the trauma that she faced, and she will basically describe exactly what this child is going through now and the trauma and the experiences that this child is facing. And then she reiterates to them, and that is the pathology. That is how things continue when they are unspoken. They continue when they're not dealt with. It continues. That trauma continues, you know. So I make it a real I'm very intentional in what I share with Brooke. Age appropriate, of course. She's almost 18 now, but throughout her life, I have been very intentional and age appropriate around what I share with her, because I want us to be constantly, I want her to know me as a woman and also as her mom. I don't want her to get to her 20s or 30s and be like, no, I didn't know my mom as a woman, you know. And we have conversations about the fact that I'm a woman before I'm a mom, and it's my first time too, and all of those things, and apologizing and, you know, having this reciprocal relationship. It's beautiful. But I think if we're to address intergenerational trauma, what I would like for us to know as women is how to have that uh, have that passing down of information, you know. It's one of the reasons that I had set up Evertold, is I want there to be recordings in the world of women telling their stories, so when there's the healing continues, hopefully, and their future generations are thriving and doing well because of the work that maybe you started, you know. I want there to be recording so they can look back and say that my granny started that, or my great granny started that, you know, and this is how she did it. We have a video of her telling us what she went through, how she navigated it, what she learned, and then passed that on down to us. And now we're all generationally wealthy.
Yeah. I love
and
that
I mean that
so
in every
much.
sense of the word. Like, we say, myself and my one of my best friends, Aisling, when we're in the forest and we're like having a little snacks and, you know, Mabel's running around us and the forest is, we're like, God, we're rich. Oh Jesus, we're so rich.
So
like
rich.
we just keep saying we're rich, we're so rich, you know. And then we'll be heading back and I'll be like, I'm going home and Kev's making a nice dinner, or Brooke has a show tonight or whatever. We're like, rich.
Oh,
We're
I
so
love
rich, you know. Like,
that.
generational wealth is around like the peace that we have as well, you know, and gifting that to Jesus. That's all we want for them, you know.
100%. Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that so much.
Yeah, we're rich. We're rich right now, girl.
We're so
We're
rich.
so rich.
I think
Yeah.
just being able to have these conversations,
Yeah.
and yeah, that lovely idea of recognizing. There's this idea that like we can recognize, and I don't know if you've done archetypal work or like maiden to mother, mother to crone, like
I
some of
haven't,
those.
but I've heard of it. I'm very interested.
You would love it.
I'm sure.
Even from the idea of Evertold, like that passing down of wisdom. I think something that happened along the way, well, traditionally in Ireland anyway, like your grandmother would have been the source of wisdom, of comfort. She would have had the medicines. She would have repaired the clothes. Like, she was this woman,
Yeah.
this centerpiece of the family.
Matriarch.
And yeah, literally the matriarch. And civilizations before this one were all matriarchal.
Gal, this is matriarchal Scaelga.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I'm the matriarch in our family.
Oh, I love.
And I'm, you know, doing the things that we're talking about. Anyway, go ahead, Gal.
But yeah, so that idea that moving into, so mother energy is this like fierce, powerful energy, this deep, divine, feminine energy. And I'll often ask women who've had children, like, did you care so much about the things you cared about before having kids? So let's say, like, I don't know, the way you looked, or the superficial things that we care about when we're like teenagers or younger or whatever. Then when you have a child, do you still behave the same way? Like, are those things still at the forefront of your mind? And most women will say, absolutely not. Like, I have this little life that is depending on me and I will be fierce in their protection. Like that, like mama bear energy.
Yeah.
That's like mother archetype energy. But maiden would be more, you know, needing the attention, or like being the like pretty little girl that people look to and say, aren't you so nice? Aren't you so pretty? Aren't you so good? And maiden can want the validation, can want the attention in the world. They might be insecure. And as we move into this mother, so it's not about moving in age, it's about moving in energy.
Sure.
So as we move from maiden to mother, like it changes. You do become a bit more fierce. You have boundaries, you know your worth, you show up differently in the world. And then there's a final transition from mother to crone. But like crone in Celtic mythology was the wise woman, like the witch.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way it got distorted.
Yeah.
And we started to basically forget about our older women. And when I think about ageism and how we like don't listen to old people or don't ask questions about their life and their story and like what happened and how, like my granny went to, was it Boston? No. Yeah, flew into Boston at 21. She left my granddad. It's my favorite story ever. She had met my granddad at a dance and said, you can wait, because I said I wanted to go work in the US for a year and I'm going to go.
Wow.
So she wrote to him.
That's unheard of for that time.
Unheard of.
Yeah,
He
good
was
for her.
older as well.
Yeah.
And she said, if you love me, you'll wait. So they were writing back and forth. Now she said, I had a great time when I was like, granny! But she's like, we weren't together. Like,
Yeah,
he was
girl.
mad about me.
Yeah.
So she went and worked as a VA or a VA. She wasn't a virtual assistant. She was a PA, a personal assistant to a, you know, like one of these big guys in a corporation out there. And she said so her sister, who was a nun that was in a convent out there, was basically bringing her up from Boston to where she needed to go, to Baltimore. And she got off, there was a storm, no phones, no way of contacting anybody. She ended up having to get a cab or a taxi from one, and she'd never met a black man before. So she sat into this and she was like, okay, like I'm gonna be fine. He chatted to her, brought her the whole way up, and that was her first like understanding of, oh, there's a world outside of the world that I've lived in, and these people are lovely, and like just expanding her awareness of the world. She went and worked there for a year. She said she gave nursing a go and was like, absolutely not for me. Like saw a boil on someone's bum and was like, nah, this is not for me. Went into the office, worked as a PA, got the experience, came home, married my granddad, had 5 kids, took over a pub. So like ran this pub and then came home to take over my granddad's shop, like co-owned my granddad's shop before that was the thing to do. And when I look at her now, she's just like, I came into her the other day and she was like, can you give me some exercises? Because I'm feeling a bit dizzy when I go walking. Could you give me some stuff to do? So I bought her a little bike. But like this get up and go in her, like this power in her. But how often does someone sit down and ask her? Like I have a note in my phone where I've sat down with her and just asked her stories of her life and taken them down.
Brilliant.
Because I want to be able to tell my kids about her.
Yeah.
Because she's so inspiring. And my other granny on the other side. But like, we kind of forgot that these women had lives.
Exactly.
I want to know my mom before she was a mother.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I think just like sitting down and being interested, particularly in older women, they have so much value.
Particularly in older women.
So much value.
When I'm in the forest with women, so there's so many lessons in the forest, right? So when I bring women to, I have forest gatherings, I bring women to the forest for no other reason other than I just want women to know that that's there for them. That piece is there for them. There's things that they can look out for that will enhance their experience of being in the forest. There's things that they can do while they're in the forest that'll bring them some calm or bring them something. Our connection to nature is a connection to ourselves. Did you see that they found that Earth has a heartbeat recently? They have this new satellite and it has like this hue on it where the Earth is doing this a heartbeat. We are nature.
Yeah,
we are nature.
And Ireland is the heart chakra of the world.
Yeah,
which is my
amazing.
No.
But basically, when at the end of our forest gathering we go and we do a walk, and on the way there's like a few like glorious huge trees, right? So I say to the women, let's stop now and look at this tree. Look at the size of it. Like I don't think that my hands touch when I put my arm around her, you know, and we do that as well. And I said like, look at the size of it, look at the majesty of her, look at how tall that, look how can you look for the furthest leaf up there, look at the branches, they're so thick, each branch could be its own tree, look at the bark, look at this. So we're really looking at this tree. Imagine what this tree has seen. Imagine what, because it's on Towney Hall, and when we were colonised, the English took over Towney Hall and got rid of our indigenous trees and put in all these other they're not coniferous, they're deciduous trees.
Okay.
And so they're all in these rows, but that's not good for our soil, you know.
Right.
So anyway, I said, imagine what this tree has. I say, imagine what this tree has seen. Imagine what she has experienced. Trees are naturally matriarchal. We know that. Imagine this, imagine that. And we know that trees send nourishment and support to other trees that are sick. That is such a nurturing woman matriarchal thing to do, etc. Right? And then I will point out another tree, maybe a bit more flimsy, like a sapling that's just in its like teenagerhood, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's not a sprout, but it's a tree, but it's, I could hold it with one hand. I said, how much would you say this tree has seen? If and I say about the big tree, like, do you think I could move her if I put my hands around her and tried, use my full force of my body? Could I move her? She's immovable. She is so strong. This is the one that's given nourishment to the other trees. This is the one that has all the stories, you know. And then we say, look at this sapling, cutie, a little cutie.
So green.
Yeah, but very green. No, doesn't have the stories that she has, whatever. Now think about how we view women in society. In society, that tree would be like, let's have a look at this sapling. What has that sapling got to offer? You know, lovely little thing, and hope it grows up and has a great time, and you know, gets big and bold and strong and all the rest of it. But there's not as much to learn from the sapling, you know. And I wish that as a society we looked at older women with the same value, you know, that we do when we look at those trees, you know. I wish that we stopped putting all this value in youth and I'm not going to say beauty. I've actually deleted that from my vocabulary. I now say the beauty standard, because women are beautiful in any shape, size, colour, wrinkles, not wrinkles, you know, whatever. We're magical. So now when I refer to beauty, I say, oh yeah, the beauty standard, not beauty, because beauty is a given for all of us, you know. So I think I would love us to take that little lesson from nature. Nature has loads of lessons like that for us, you know.
100%.
Yeah, a little cutie now.
Yeah.
A cutie.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and it is, I suppose, I'll often think to myself, if in the morning women woke up and believed that they were worthy as they are, $1 billion industry would crumble. Like, there
100%.
are people profiting off your insecurity, and it's so interesting to me that like we could deep this on a patriarchal level and everything. I absolutely know that. But that we put so much pressure on ourselves, like this beauty standard that has been set, when actually I don't look to anyone's perfection. I say this all the time when someone asks like, who are you inspired by? I go, well, I'm definitely not inspired by your perfection.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely love when people are human.
Yeah.
And so in their humanness that I can see that they're raw and they're real and they have integrity and they're authentic and all of those things. And that whole thing of the least interesting thing about you, it is fucking the least interesting thing about you.
Yeah.
It really is. And if somebody said to me like, oh, that's the reason I follow you, or that's the reason I'd be like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, your priorities are askew, my guy.
I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. And yeah, me and my boyfriend were only having a conversation about that recently. He said, like we were talking about people being better looking in person, and he said, you're better looking in person. And I was like, what? And he goes, well, I don't think that's your goal. I don't, like, when I saw your page first or whatever, I didn't look at it and go, oh my God, she's drop dead gorgeous. He was like, I thought she was interesting. And I was like, I kind of love that.
Well,
that you didn't
that's
think
what
that.
I was going for.
Yeah. And I was in a period of my life where I was like, fuck men. So
Yeah.
I purposely was like pushing back on it. So I went on our first date in a hoodie and leggings with no makeup on, just out of the sea, because I was like, if he doesn't like me like this, he can actually do one. Like,
Yeah.
and I remember he was the most interesting date that I was on, and he sat with the seat all the way back, hoodie up, because he looked like he didn't give a shit either. And I was like, are we both like really not wanting to be in relationships? But it was just this thing of like not trying to impress someone, that it's the least interesting thing that we have. So you're so much more. But yeah, anyway.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's magical. Is there anything else that we can cover in relation to intergenerational trauma? Because I know we moved on a bit.
I think that it's really interesting. People can actually process generations before them. So the masterclass I did last month was on money, which is really interesting because we brought this up at the very beginning of the podcast. And I just use money as a litmus test of where the self-worth is or where the story is. But money tells us a huge intergenerational story as well. So like I said about if, you have lineage or ancestors that lived during the famine or during like depressions, recessions, and then even yourself, like your experience of the recession here in this country, we have all of these stories that have formed our opinion, our perception, and then our nervous system responds to different things. So just really naturally in that session, like I don't really plan them, but in that session when we went into the breath work, it ended up being quite ancestral because we were trying to break blocks that aren't ours.
Yeah.
So you sometimes have to go backwards to go forwards, and the past informs the future. So if we go back and we recognize, okay, well, actually, I'm so terribly afraid of not having money, or I'll cling to it for dear life because I'm afraid I'm never going to make it again, or I have to work so hard for every cent that's in my account, probably because that was true for someone in your ancestral line.
Whoa.
So if you want to heal, and I think healing in its entirety is you going back into your body, and I say this all the time, but like your embodiment is your resistance, because nobody gets to take away from you being in your body.
Embodiment is your resistance.
To all of it. To patriarchy, to shame, to judgment, all of it. You being in your body and being like, I'm safe here. This is my body, this is my life, this is my choice. That is the biggest resistance you'll have, and the way you'll be able to deflect all the shit that's not yours. So like when I come into my body, I know what's right and what's wrong. I know what's true and untrue. I know what I need. I know who I am.
Oh, I love this.
And it's everything else. It's all the noise. So I think healing intergenerational trauma is about coming back to the body. Like they gave you genetics that are incredibly resilient. When I think about Irish people, we're the most charitable country in the world for years on record. And we probably are some of the tightest people in the world when it comes to money, but yet we can give it to somebody who we know needs it. Yet we can sit there and go, oh, well, my life's good and I can give this money. Like look at the whole of the Palestine movement. Like countries that spoke out were the ones, when I looked at it, that actually have the lowest spending amongst people, were the most charitable, because something happened in your generational line that went, I understand the oppressed.
Yes.
Like the oppressed see the oppressed.
Exactly, Gal. This is. I literally made a video about this the other day. Or like, how are we being racist? How are we treating people that? Giving people an experience we are very, very familiar with and really suffered through. You know, it doesn't make any sense. It drives me up the wall. Yeah.
And when you feel like, when I sit and feel, and I know even for people who, you know, really struggle to look at some of the footage coming out of Palestine, and I know it's hard to stomach, but the reason why you're so viscerally reactive to it, the reason why you have such a strong emotional reaction, I just fully believe it's like in your DNA.
You know it.
It's
the lavender.
Yeah, it's the lavender. It's the lavender. You know it, like in your bones, you know it. So to think that we are different and to reject certain people, or like that, to have a response that's incongruent to your history. I just think like,
come on,
wake up. Wake up.
One of the main things that I hear from people is that I wish I preserved their stories. I can't tell their stories the way they did. I can't sing their songs the way they did. Well, that's where Evertold comes in. Evertold is a legacy storytelling platform, essentially a personal podcast, if you will. I come to you with compact recording equipment, and I sit with the person that you want me to interview in the place where they are most comfortable, and I ask all the questions that you want asked. I can ask them to sing their favourite song, I can ask them to tell their favourite stories, and you will then have that video recording saved in a beautiful treasure box on a memory key, just like this one, that can be plugged into any television, laptop for the rest of time. You will never regret doing an Evertold, but you may regret not doing it. So get in touch if you would like your very own Evertold for you or someone you love. And make sure their stories are not lost to time. Healing Gals Podcast get a discount, so make sure you quote Healing Gals Podcast when you contact me. I'll look forward to speaking to you. I think it is those people that are embodied that see the hypocrisy of that. I think the people who engage in this racism, or, you know, all of the horror, bigotry, all of that, I think those are people who might be very disconnected from themselves, 100%. Or, you know, have bought into a story in an effort to keep themselves safe, or, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense for people who have already experienced this level of colonization, of oppression, of, you know,
all of it. Yeah, 100%. I think like if the more disembodied we are, the more susceptible we are to propaganda, to noise.
Oh, the more disembodied we are, the more susceptible we are to it. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And if you're disembodied, you're eventually going to feel like something's broken in you because you're not connecting to your sense of self. You're not connecting to your intuition. You're not connecting to your body cues. So you'll start to believe that what someone says to you is true. And that's what I think about optimization. And like you brought that up at the very beginning of this podcast. If they're tracking all your data, and like not to put the tin foil hat on,
Sure.
but tracking everything, needing to optimize your life in every area. And then I will sit with a woman and ask like, well, how do you actually feel? No, don't look at your watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you actually feel? Or don't look at your Oura ring. You know, are you having good sleep? And I'm blown away by the fact that we cannot read our own body. We do not trust our own signals because we have outsourced it to technology, to AI.
Gal, this is so interesting, right? I have a Fitbit, right? I don't have notifications for anything on my phone. Instagram, WhatsApp, nothing. Absolutely nothing. My phone is for me to use it, not for it to constantly pull me from somewhere.
Love that.
You know, especially I really encourage people to, if you have to have the notifications on the phone, okay, but people who have notifications on their watch, for them to be doing anything, message, like, share, DM, how would you expect your concentration or your capacity for concentration to have any stamina? Do you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't, like it, that's dreadful. But you know, I don't have notifications on anything. However, Fitbit recently is not the app anymore. The Fitbit devices are now connected to Google Health. It's a little Google Heart thing. And this happened 2 weeks ago. And for the past 14 nights, whenever I did the thing over, in the morning, why am I shouting? In the morning, chill, my girl. I get this love heart and says, you have had the amount of sleep that's sets you up for a strong foundation. Or it says, you're probably going to struggle today because it's something. And I thought, I don't need you to tell me whether I'm going to struggle today. Get the fucking boat. So I've to change that today. It's one of them things you're like, I'm going to change that when when you're getting up and getting ready, you're like, when I go and sit down, I'm going to turn them off because I don't have notifications for anything else. But I did feel, when it told me I was going to have a bad day, I did feel, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had to be like, wait a minute, a piece of metal is dictating the kind of day I'm going to have. Come on.
I know.
You know?
I know. It's just giving away power. It's like, to me, a lot of how we work with women is reclaiming power. And there's such an interesting thought process around ego and how, you know, a lot of spiritual teachers, and I will de-pedestalize gurus all day, every day. I think if you are obsessed with somebody, question it.
Yeah.
Question it. We should not be obsessed with anybody.
I agree.
Like, I'll always say to facilitators, I'm inevitably going to let you down someday. Like, I'm not a perfect human being.
I'm a human, yeah.
And I need you to give me grace where I've given you grace. And I'm not claiming to be perfect. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. So if we have this mutual understanding, well, then we're going to be all good in this space. But when I think about like women and power and ego, I think women actually need to remember they have an ego. I think for most women, we have given everything away, including power to trackers, to devices, to doctors, to people who know better than us.
Better than us.
Yeah. Like the professional knows better.
Listener, for the people who aren't watching this, that was in inverted quotes. No one knows better than you, Angel. It's your body.
But this idea that these people do, that we pedestalize people, we put people on these, you know, whether it's their title that gave them and look, I definitely respect, and I know people respect me as a physio because I went and studied it for 4 years and I have a degree in it and I've worked in it and I understand it and I have professional standards and all of those things. But I don't know you better than you know you.
Yeah.
So when you tell me you're experiencing something, I'm not going to discredit what you say. And that's why I'm really good at working with people with chronic pain or women's health issues, because I can listen. I can listen and understand and hold enough space that you get to come to your own conclusion on this. And it's one thing to be informed and to have all the knowledge, and it's another thing to be able to find a way to help somebody find that within themselves. And I'll always say to my guys, like, if I give you the answer, it's mine. If you come up with that answer yourself, it's going to be yours forever, and you will believe it more than you'll ever believe something I'll say to you. And then you get that power back. So when I look at like ego spaces and men saying denounce your ego, or like let's overcome our ego. I'm like, for most women, the ego is the sense of self that we didn't have, that we were told is too much to have. And actually being able to find that idea, okay, if you're like really egoic and you're all about yourself, like I think most women aren't that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I don't see that. Women who sit in front of me anyway, that is not the issue.
I agree.
The issue is that we don't know what that feels like. We don't know how to back ourselves. We don't know how to trust ourselves. So yeah, just where you can take back power from people who are telling you what to be, telling you what to do. And of course, I'm not talking about like medical advice or something serious. Like,
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's there for a reason. But when it comes to tracking your own body, knowing what you need, the question I get the facilitators to do every single day is, what do you need? How do you give that to yourself? What do you need? How do you give it? I wake up in the morning, I don't have like a set exercise plan. I wake up and I go, okay, what do I need today? Now, how do I do that for myself?
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to move my body.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to fill my cup. But yeah, anyway, it's like a whole, it's a movement that we could have, is like moving women towards this self-expression. And yeah.
And being embodied is just being able to tell without needing a tracker, without needing an app, or, you know, a guru to tell you what you're feeling or where it's hurting, or, you know, it's be able to feel that.
Yeah.
You know, I have recently lost 1.5 stone, and I am feeling parts of my body that I have never felt.
Wow.
You know, like especially around my abdomen. I definitely feel like there is something genetic, like in how we're speaking about like epigenetics.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there is something around like protecting my womb, or protecting my that area, like that whole area. I have this, when I have weight, which it's up and down, like, and I don't have any huge judgment about weight. I love my body, and I'm so grateful for what she does and all of that, you know, like, no doubt about it. But in the exploring of like why I was carrying weight, a few different things were coming up for me. Number one, I feel like if I was to lose weight, I feel like men would be scarier to me, you know. And secondly, there's just something in me and my friend Ashling talk about this in the forest. There's something in my body that I'm feeling like it. Like, since I've lost 1.5 stone, right? When I lie down, and if I push my in my womb space or in there, like, it feels. It's just a very different sensation than I've felt before, you know. I feel like I'm becoming more connected to my body at the moment, you know.
Wow.
So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that or experience, or
Yeah, I think you've touched on it beautifully. Yes, it's protective. So clever of your body to protect you with the layers. And I mean, that makes so much sense. But then for you to be able to contact, or to actually feel into, and somatically, when we are able to connect, so there's so many different ways you can do somatics. At the minute in the level 2, we're in embodied anatomy, which is all going through organs. So like last week I would have taught on connecting to your womb space through somatics, and the way we do that is to actually like visualize it, to put your hands over it, to have all these different ways in. It is fascinating to me, and I can speak to it from my own journey. Like, weight would fall off me the more connected I was. Not when I was exercising harder, not when I was more strict with my eating, but the more connected I was to my body. I cannot describe it. It's like my body was just like, well, we don't need this extra. Because I think weight sometimes as well can be emotional baggage. Can be this feeling of like, I'm carrying this as a protective layer because I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to have to feel this. And then we have the behaviors that come with that. But as you create safety in your body knows it's okay to let go in all senses. So like, yeah, people have wild experiences. My other thing that I often notice in people is like pain and weight can kind of correspond, where the body's way of communicating, if we're not listening, is through either retaining. So you'll see like retaining fluid, retaining weight, or pain. Like, pain is it whispering to you, you're not listening. Like, you're not listening. Because pain's perceived in the brain, it's not in the body. So sometimes we'll scan people and there won't be any problem there where the pain is, and then they'll feel like they're losing their mind. And I'm like, you're definitely not losing your mind. Your body is experiencing pain, but it's a signal, it's a message. And what I'll often get people to do, and I mean, the journey is obviously your healing journey, but I've spoke about that recently, that one of the unexpected side effects of healing for me was losing weight.
yeah,
It was also not having pain. It was not getting sick anymore. and I cannot describe, like, none of those things were the reason I did it. I did it because I had to do it. But on that journey, the way your body responds is like, it loves you back. It loves you back. Like, it wants you to be more connected. It wants you to move more freely. It wants you to feel good in your body and to feel sexy and open and expressive. And then, you put your hands on your womb and go, God, I can hear it. It's magic.
It's magic,
It's
gal.
magic.
We're so magic. I love being a woman.
I know, I think about that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, imagine if I had to be a man. Like,
Ew.
I know. I was like, I love them, but I don't want to be them. No, I love being a woman.
Some of them.
Yeah. True.
Very select.
Select. I say that to Aaron all the time. I hate men. And then he goes, I'm a man. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not you. And their role, like in energetics, I think it's so interesting that, like, we've spoken about the matriarch, but the woman's role was to actually be the center of all things. Like, you are God.
Exactly.
You bring life into the world. And there's a moment where I think men must have realised that women were God, and they go, oh, there has to be a God up there then. And he has to be a man.
Yes.
Because we've just lost power. But if you imagine that you are the universe, like, you are creating life, you are God, and whether you decide to create life or not, it doesn't matter. You still have the ability to create in your body. What men's role energetically is to protect.
Yes.
To be on the outside protecting this universe that is existing on the inside, which is the woman. And I'm like, it's amazing.
I agree.
It's amazing
with
to look
every
at it that
word,
way.
girl.
Yeah. And like, someone said it recently as, oh my God, what way? Was it like the egg? So like the shell on the outside is the man, and then the yolk. And sometimes when we speak in Tantra about the universe, we yoke it, like this concept of it all, like that life exists within this little egg, but it's so fragile, and it has this shell on the outside that's protecting it. But if you drop that egg, you don't give it the place and the nurturing and everything, like the warmth, it'll shatter.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that you need to be held, you need to be protected, you need to feel loved and supported in order to reach your full potential and to bloom, or to bring life into the world. And I'm like, if women just...
And in order for things to be okay, you know, in the world, in a family, in whatever, the woman has to be prioritized, you know. The woman has to be the center of the home, and that she is minded and nurtured and brought cups of tea and made sure that she is resting. And because the things we do, gal, are out of this world, you know. As long as the woman is okay, everyone's okay, because we're so nurturing and caring. It's not from a space of, in case this needs to be explained, which I would hope it doesn't, but in case it does, it's not from a space of like, we're superior, we're divas, we just want to have baths and, you know, drink wine and smoke cigarettes and everyone else leave us alone. It's like, no, we do a huge amount of work. We contribute a huge amount to society. We need to be minded very well and very carefully in order to do that work. And that work is so necessary. Without that work, the kids don't get minded, the men don't get nurtured, you know, like, we need to make sure that the women are just like so carefully minded, you know.
Yeah. I actually say that to my partner all the time, that I wouldn't be able to do any of this without him, because he makes me feel so held. And so protected.
Gal.
And he's not into
so
this.
Happy you have that, gal.
I know.
That's so
cool. He's not into any of this at all. Like I get a lot of women say like, oh, they're not growing with me, or they don't have the same interests as me. And sometimes I'm like, great. Because if he was the same as me, and I have had an experience where they were like very similar to me, like, it wasn't good.
No.
Two of us can't be anxious. Two of us can't be in our head all the time. You know, like, it does help to have somebody who's different to you, but he's just so protective. Like, will question me, you know, like, how long is it going to take you to go over there now today? And have you planned other things? Like, just in a really loving way. And like, are you minding yourself? Letting me go home for this, because he knows it's important. He knows it's like part of the future I want to build. And then deciding that we're going to move home, and like allowing me to really come into this dream. And he said like he wants to play hurling when he comes home as well, which I understand, but he's been gone from home for ages, and he was like, Eva, this is the one thing that I'm kind of asking for. And when he actually said it, I was like, oh my God, he's asked me for nothing. Like, he is there to make my dreams come true. Like, he is literally like, let's make this happen. What do we need to do? And he forgoes so much, like, he sacrifices for me, but I know that when I'm held and when I'm loved, he gets to experience that too. Like, he's growing out of my overflow, and we're going to live this beautiful life. Like, I keep saying to him, we are going to have the most beautiful life because you believed in me. And like, you've held me enough in this, and every woman deserves that.
100%.
Like,
It
that's
is,
why
that
you're
is as
here.
it should be, gal.
Yeah.
That is the natural way, you know. And then they get to experience us in our magicalness,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
our magic, you know. Like it's a beautiful dynamic when you get like that's a very similar dynamic to the one that myself and my husband have. He's not into this kind of thing, but would absolutely remove any barrier that is stopping me from getting to where I need to be, you know.
It's amazing.
And then he gets to live with the happiest woman in the
Yeah.
world, you know.
What
a
a
lucky
win.
man.
What a win. Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
So no,
yeah.
it definitely does exist. And like that whole thing of, I don't love all men, definitely not. And I think there's a lot of harm in the world, but there are really, really good men as
Yeah.
well. And that whole thing of like if somebody is single and they're looking, a lot of my friends, I can feel like we have conversations, and I honestly have not had bad experiences dating because, number one, I wouldn't put up with it.
Good for you.
And I do think that when you sit in front of me, it's that boundary thing. It's like, I don't care if you call me a bitch, because if you think my boundary is too much, you're not for me anyway.
Yeah.
So the man who was able to accept me in me and understand what I needed and how I needed it, that's my man. And the others, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I
They
won't
would have
waste
just
time.
wasted. Gal, took the words out of my mouth. It would have wasted your time anyway.
100%.
Yeah. If radical honesty removes anyone from the equation, they weren't meant to be in the equation in the first place.
No. But if you just see all men as trash, or you're going out and you're dating and you're like, oh my God, they're all the same, they're all shitheads or whatever, that's what you'll see.
Yeah.
That's what you'll find. I think you have to believe, and like maybe even listening to stories like this where there are really good men. Like, I'm not saying like you have to kiss a few frogs, but they're there, and I think it's just you believing that you're worthy of that man as well, that they'll come. But
worthy of setting the boundaries, or worthy of expressing your truest heart.
Yeah.
Not pretending that you're not you're not too much, or you're not too, you know, like, be entirely yourself, and then the wrong ones will fall away. And real men love that shit.
Yeah.
Love that shit.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. They want a woman that knows herself. But anyway,
Gal, Caoimhe, I could literally have you here all day.
We could be all day.
Will you actually just tell us about your retreats, or like, where do people get involved with you or with your work, or tell me about that.
At the minute, so I have one training coming up in July. It's actually overbooked at the minute. We've been really lucky this year. I just feel like people, thank you. I feel like people in Ireland are so much more open and things are moving really quickly. So that training is full. And then I am back to Australia just for a little while before I move home. So I'm planning a winter reset retreat, which is an intergenerational retreat actually.
Incredible.
In Tipperary. So that's going to be 3 nights, hopefully, in January. So all the details for that will be released pretty soon. And then I have trainings coming up again next year in breathwork, somatics, my level 2. So it's all happening. I'm just at the minute like finishing up training. So we've a retreat in Bali and stuff that goes with the level 2 training. So it's just busy, but not busy in a way that feels overwhelming, busy in a way that feels really fun. And yeah, I usually put all that stuff in the email list, or to the email list first and into the WhatsApp, and then I'll share it on Instagram. But if you ever miss anything, I'll always say if you're on the email list, you won't miss it.
Okay, how do we get onto the email list?
Should be the link in my bio, or I can give you the link.
Perfect.
Too.
Okay, yeah. I'll put it in the show notes if you send it to me.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
will, of course.
Caoimhe, I have loved this chat.
Oh, thank you so much for having
that you came.
me.
It was amazing. This is like exactly what I wanted it to be. I'm thrilled.
Oh, well, you're such a fabulous host and you've done such an incredible job, and I can just tell that you are so deeply embodied in this and you care so deeply. So it's really nice to have a conversation with someone who's like all in. I love it.
Gal.
Thank you.
Yay. Amazing.
How fab is Caoimhe Gibney? How amazing is she? I just felt like I got so much from that episode. I felt like I got so much wisdom, I got so much awareness, and I'm taking those lessons with me. I'm also highly interested in doing her level 1 breath work facilitator training, and level 2 that she was speaking about with the modules on intergenerational trauma and stuff. I feel like that's calling me, so I'm going to try and find time to do that, because I really would enjoy doing that. I think that would be like right up my street. You might have noticed as well at the end of the episode there, I spoke about that I had lost 1.5 stone recently. I have no interest in talking about our weight on this podcast. I have no interest whatsoever. I had no interest in even sharing that. However, I felt like it was a useful moment to speak to her about something that does live within me. You know, like, I do feel all of the things that I had said to her. There's no point to me saying it all again, because I know I do that. I do feel those things, and I am feeling a new connection to my body, and particularly my abdomen, my womb space, that I hadn't felt before, that I haven't felt before. So I'm going to keep exploring that. I'll share more about it if it comes up naturally, but this is not going to be a podcast where we talk about weight. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Big, small, medium, extra large, supercharged. I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care about weight. But I am enjoying the process of becoming more connected to my body and exploring the reasons that I feel fear around being smaller and what that would mean for me being out and about and how weird men can be and stuff, you know. So the more that I explore that, if it's appropriate and I'm comfortable, I'll share it on here. But until then, gals, I'll wish you a lovely week. This is episode 9, 8 or 9, 8 maybe. Who knows? I'll know it when I'm doing up the show notes now in about 10 minutes. So we're nearly at the end of season 6. 6 seasons of Healing Gals podcast. And because this year I did the video podcasting and had all those clips, it's growing so much. So welcome to all the new listeners. I am thrilled to have you here. And to all my loyal gals that have been here from day one, you know who you are. I'm grateful to you. I'll never forget yous. I think about yous all the time. And I'll see yous all soon. And remember, you're good enough exactly as you are, and you deserve a great life. Love you so much, gals.